Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Sorry it's been a while, but hey, today I want to talk to you about controlling your sphere of influence. And that's going to be really important with things that are coming up and when you're doing your preps, and who you prep and associate with. All right, might sound kind of simple, but you have to understand, number one of the biggest things you need to understand: who are your friends? Okay, you need to understand, are they trustworthy, right? A lot of people that you think you trust right now probably aren't trustworthy. Number two, are they dedicated to when things hit the fan that they're going to be there for you? Okay, and that goes into the truthful part of it and the honesty, because a lot of times we find out people, sometimes they tell little lies, or maybe they don't want to do certain things, but they're not so truthful with you. Finding those type of people as your friends that are brutally honest with you all the time and kind of call you out, maybe try to make you a better person, those are the people you want to be around. And the reason I'm telling you this is because when times get tough, all those people, they always had those little quirks about them. Those quirks are going to magnify when they get stressed. All right? And I don't know how to tell you this. I've seen it over the years. I saw it when I was in the military. I've seen it in the civilian world. People who have these little quirks, when the stress hits, it is magnified times 10, if not 100, depending on the person and the stress they're under or they put themselves under. Okay? So these are some things you're going to have to really figure out. For example, I'm going to give you a simple example. What if there's somebody out there, you've tried to call them, it's not late at night, but you're trying to get a hold of them for something. And the reason I'm bringing this up is they don't contact you until the next day. And they say, oh, hey, I didn't see your text until this morning. But when you look at your phone, you got a read receipt. And it was from the night before. They saw it, they just chose to ignore it. Okay? And maybe it's something that was really important for you. And the reason I'm bringing up something like that is because there was times when I was in the military, when I was in a certain unit, and we had a 45-minute recall time. And there was a certain individual who wouldn't want to, quote unquote, show up. Oh, I didn't get the message. At this particular place that I was stationed, everybody had to pay attention at all times. All right? And that was something that was basically a character, and it told us about that person's character. It told us about their trust and their integrity. All right? And their moral compass, right? So these are some things you're going to have to think about. You're going to have to figure out around those type of people, who can you trust when things get tough? All right? Number two, your home. Controlling your sphere of influence, okay? Your home and your property. Can you logically and physically and mentally defend your home? Are you ready to do that? Are there others around that can help you with that? Is it friends? Is it neighbors? And a lot of times all you have to do is go out and talk to your neighbors, and you're going to figure out real quick where they're kind of leaning with what's going on in the country. And that's one of the things I'm finding out. Some people are completely oblivious. And I know a lot of you out there, you're seeing the same thing. And it's not even just your neighbors, it's family members. Maybe it's friends. They think you're off your rocker. And the more you pay attention, not so much to the news, but to economic news and financial news, as you're watching the markets collapse, as you're watching the economy implode, and you're watching what's happened with the ranchers, you're watching what's happening with farmers, with fuel, with fertilizer. Right now we're on the train wreck of all train wrecks. Okay, and I don't even know how to say it any other way. And a lot of people, you watch a lot of these people that are online. This isn't fear porn. This is just basically explaining what's happening. And a lot of you out there are actually trying to do what you can to support your family. But at the same time, you're going to have people that are all of a sudden going to become your, want to try to become your friend, right? The fair weather friends. I like to call them ejection seat friends. And the reason I'm going to tell you ejection seat is because they will only contact you when there's an absolute emergency. And the first thing they think about is you. And they're pulling they're pulling the cables, and you're the ejection seat friend. Okay, I hope that makes sense. That's just like pulling a fire alarm. Hey, fire alarm, only call when needed, right? And we all know who they are. But you're going to have to make some tough choices on those people. And I highly recommend you kind of let some of them know now, don't call. Or don't even answer the call if cell phone service is up during that time and place, right? It could be a natural disaster that kind of leads off and culminates into something even more that compounds itself with lack of fuel, lack of power, because we're already being told there's going to be blackouts this summer in different parts of the country. The other thing for sphere of influence, during a disaster, that's when the stress level goes up. So I'm going to tell you a story. In 2017, when we had the hurricane come through down here in Florida, and it was going over central Florida, one of the things that happened was we lost power. And a lot of neighbors, the first night, everybody's getting together. People were wanting to grab a beer together. They didn't think the power was going to be out that long. We ended up having power in the particular location I was at. We didn't have power for 3.5 days. Myself and another former Marine took it upon ourselves to kind of sit on the street and keep an eye on the neighbors' houses. Everybody was going in, getting some sleep, but they weren't doing kind of a round robin on security. And we tried to tell them, but we took it upon ourselves, myself and this other former Marine. And sure enough, on the second night, what ended up happening is a truck full of looters came into the neighborhood. It was pitch black. They were driving up the street with no headlights, and they actually they slowly pulled up, parked the vehicle, and went to hit the house across the street. We ended up hitting up with high-powered flashlights. We turned the lights on them, and that was just enough of a deterrent to get all of them to jump back. There was probably about 8 of them. They jumped back in the truck. A whole bunch of them jumped in the bed, and the truck took off down the street. No headlights, but with the flashlight hanging out the window as their guidance to drive, because they didn't want to turn on their lights and us be able to see their license plate. All right. So these are things that are going to happen, and it's happened around. That was just a taste. Okay. Just imagine what happened during Hurricane Katrina, and I think it was Hurricane. It begins with an H. I can't remember the name right now, so pardon me. But it hit Mexico Beach up in the Panhandle. Those people, a lot of those people didn't have power for months. So imagine what's going to happen in your neighborhood. And there was a lot of looting up there, and the police actually told people, we cannot make it to every call. You're going to have to handle things yourself. Okay? Food. Do you have food? Are you growing food? Are you doing anything with your property trying to grow certain fruits and vegetables, such as tomatoes, maybe some lettuce, throwing some potatoes out there, something along those lines, depending upon your region. Hey, if I can do some of this stuff, I can guarantee you guys can do some of it. And even if you don't have a green thumb, there's things out there that you can do. You can watch YouTube videos. There's a lot of people out there, and they're teaching people how to grow crops. They're teaching you how to use even the smallest spaces, even indoors, to get some of this stuff done. All right. Water. What's your filtration? Are you using some type of filtration system? You know, one of the things I like to use is a Berkey water filter. I also have, if I have to be on the move, I use the Life Straws. Life Straws are a good thing. The biggest thing I tell people in the ads, they're always showing people sitting there leaning over, sucking out of a pond. I'm in Florida. Guess what? I'm not going to lean over a pond and suck water out of it because there's alligators in most of the bodies of water around here. That probably wouldn't work out too well if my face got too close to water. All right? So, you know, these are some things you're going to have to think about. Medical devices. Do you have some type of source of power for medical devices for those in your family that might need that? Or better yet, what about medications? Do you have enough medications on hand? If there is a trade war that breaks out with China, now we haven't had an official trade war, but with all the lockdowns, we're seeing things slowing down coming in the United States. 90% of the medication comes from China. If you don't have those meds on hand, what are you going to do? Do you have any type of options to get stuff now and have an abundance of medication on hand for those people in your family? Or it could be you yourself. So these are things I'm trying to highlight. I know a lot of other people are talking about certain things, but I'm trying to wrap some of this in. You need to start controlling your sphere of influence. Are you taking care of business for you and making sure you have enough of what you need and have the wherewithal to provide the security and have people on hand that you can depend on? I mean, absolute depend on, that would give you the shirt off your back and you would give them the shirt off your back. And the last thing I'm going to hit on right now is politics and situational awareness. The one thing I'm going to talk to you about with the situational awareness right now is understanding economic news and reading it. We all have seen about farms basically not putting in crops for the longest time. What's the other thing we're seeing? Cattle ranchers are getting rid of cattle, and a lot of them are heifers. You know, if you follow, if you're on Twitter and you follow Capitalist Bastard, he'll tell you that a lot of the cattle they're getting rid of is what? The heifers. Those are the ones that produce more cattle. Are you guys following me yet? Do you understand why we're getting a rise in prices also? Then we have a lot of our food being shipped out of the country because some of these factories are owned by other countries. So some of these are things you know, not just myself, but you need to make other people aware so they understand what they need to do to prepare for what's coming. Because when the economy collapses and the stock market's starting to get ready to go into a free fall, we're going to have some very trying times, and we're going to see a lot of things happen. We're going to see people start doing some things that they probably wouldn't normally do because of the stress level. All right. When I come to politics, I'm not really big into politics. I think both parties, I think we have some issues. I'll cover this one in another broadcast. What you need to focus on is control what you can within your sphere of influence, right? That's your local politics. Get involved in your local politics. Pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to the laws that are being put into place. Pay attention to ordinances or regulations that are being put into place by your county. Some of these regulations and stuff are done and you have no idea what they're doing until it's too late. Maybe it's a regulation that prevents you from doing one type of certain thing. For example, there's certain places in the country, guess what you can't do? You can't collect rainwater. You can't have food, or you can't produce food. And when I talk about produce food, you cannot have, for example, chickens on your property. Just a small chicken coop. All right? So these are things you need to start getting aware of and start looking into and looking, well, how can I transform my property? How can I transform what I have within my sphere of influence, which starts out with your property line and your home and your family? Hey, what can I do to make things easier for us? And when I say us, I'm talking about you and your family, to make things better. Anyways, this is Danger. Listen, guys, make sure you got all the stuff you need. Try to do what you can. I know money's tight for a lot of people with gas prices going up, with food prices going up. Do what you can. Take care of yourselves, and hey, anchor up. Start taking care of yourself, and we got this. In the end, remember, God wins. So, anyway, you guys need any medical supplies, you know the company, anchorstrategiesllc.com. Just hit the shop and get yourself the tactical medical kit. That's anchorstrategiesllc.com. Like I said, if you guys need anything from me, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.